Yeah, it's pretty not. It's pretty.
Thank you, Dougal, and welcome to everyone. I'd just like to acknowledge country. We acknowledge the Palawa Pakana people of Lutruwita, the traditional owners of the land upon which Dinah and myself live and work here in northern Tasmania. We pay respects to elders past and present as the knowledge holders and sharers. We honour their strong culture and knowledges as vital to the self-determination, well-being and resilience of their communities. And we stand for a future that profoundly respects and acknowledges Aboriginal perspectives, culture, language and history. Just a short summary of what we plan to cover today. First, why should you study postgraduate nursing? We're going to talk a little bit about the different course options that we often offer from the School of Nursing, the number of specialisations that are available under our graduate certificate and graduate diploma, and moving on to masters, what study will look like for you, and other study options. We'll also will touch on the amazing partner scholarships that we offer, because we know that many of us want to study but maybe can't afford to. So the university is aware of that, and we do offer very generous scholarships. And then Dougal's going to tell you about how to apply. And at the end of that, any questions that you have, please ask and we will be very happy to answer. Paula, I might get you to talk about your student, Benita.
Yes, so from Benita's words, living in Sydney, there were a couple of units that offered a master's degree in nursing, but UTAS gave a broader spectrum of subjects and knowledge, and because I am working full-time, it was helpful being able to study entirely online. So Benita was one of the students who came through doing the specialty in anaesthesia and post-anaesthesia nursing, and she has, at the certificate level, then studied at diploma, came to master level. So with Annette, then Dinah, then myself, she is a lovely girl. Benita and I, after she finished, actually co-wrote a paper together, her idea, and I helped her, which was published and actually was best paper in the Journal of Perioperative Nursing for the year that it was published, which was fantastic. And as you can see, she's a keen fencer, and she represented the University of Tasmania in the University Games and did very well. So she's been a great advocate and thoroughly enjoyed her studies.
Oh, so there's some lovely pictures of us. So I'm the course coordinator for the Graduate Certificate in Nursing. So I oversee all of the specialisations at that certificate level. Dinah is the course coordinator for the Graduate Diploma of Nursing. She's also the Graduate Certificate in Addiction Studies course coordinator, which makes her very busy. And Paula is our wonderful course coordinator at that master level. And she'll talk to that as we move along. So why study postgraduate nursing and why study with us? One thing we're really proud of is that every one of our specialisations are taught by an industry expert. So we have amazing stream leads who they teach into the specialisations. They oversee the contemporary content within those specialisations, but they also work clinically. So when you are learning something, you know you're learning from somebody who has been working in that area last week. You're also part of a collaborative online network. So as the unit coordinators and the tutors are clinically current, they're also leaders in their field all over Australia. One of the great things about online learning in our postgraduate nursing is we employ staff from all over Australia. We've got people Western Australia, Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, Northern Territory. Have I missed anyway? South Australia, Victoria, and we've got a great nurse practitioner who is one of the stream leads for emergency. She's based in Canberra. So we've got them everywhere. Also, it's the students that you'll be studying with, you'll be placed in discussion activities with, and you'll get to know them as well. And you might be working in a regional or remote area within your specialisation, and you'll get to know someone who's working in a major city, a major hospital, and you can each learn from each other and share your thoughts and the application of contemporary evidence-based knowledge in practice in your different clinical settings. And as we'll talk about soon, there are generous scholarships from our partners. This is our latest student experience survey results, which we're really proud of, and it hasn't changed for the last few years. They continue to be, students tend to have over 90% overall satisfaction with the total experience. They're happy with our teaching quality, learning resources, and their skills development. And we are really proud of that. But we don't let rest on our laurels. We are working very hard to ensure that our content's contemporary, that we're meeting the current and future needs of graduates in your specialisation, and that we ensure that our assessments are more and more authentic. And we'll talk a little bit about that as we move along. Janet.
Yeah, so we're talking today about a number of courses, and just a reminder, I guess, that our courses align with the Australian Qualifications Framework, and under that framework, there's 10 levels. And so at the postgraduate nursing level, we're really talking about Australian Qualifications Framework 8 through to 10. So at level 8, that's where we have our Bachelor of Nursing with Honours, our graduate certificate courses, and the graduate diploma. So they all sit at level 8. At level 9 is a Master of Nursing and Master's courses. And then AQF 10 is where a PhD or a clinical doctorate sit. And so you are working your way up the levels as you are progressing through courses. Today, we're actually just going to be focusing on a small number of courses within the suite that we offer. And so that focus will be on the Graduate Certificate in Nursing and the various specialisations within that, the Graduate Diploma of Nursing, again, with a range of specialisations, and the Master of Clinical Nursing, which, again, you can choose your specialisation. And I think looking at it, it's understanding that one can lead to the other and sort of how they all fit together. If you think about it's kind of like stackable blocks. So at the beginning level, at postgraduate is the graduate certificate. And in the graduate certificate, you study 4 specialisation units. So for many of the specialisations, that's 4 units. And they're all core units. You don't have any choice. Some of the specialisations, they may have 2 or 3 specialisation units and an elective unit, but all of those units sit under that specialisation umbrella and have a strong focus in the specialisation. So you can enrol directly into a graduate certificate. You also can enrol directly into a graduate diploma. So at graduate certificate level, you're studying 4 units. At graduate diploma level, you're studying 8 units, but if you've already done your graduate certificate, then those 4 units, and you remain within the same specialty, then those 4 units that you studied at graduate certificate are the first 4 units for the 8 units of your graduate diploma. And then you can't enrol directly into a master's unit. You have to have a graduate diploma to be able to go on and do masters. And the Masters has 2 units, but they're double-weighted units, so it's the equivalent of 4 units. At the graduate diploma level, you have 2 core units that you study, and then you choose 2 elective units from a range, and I'll talk about that in more detail. So we talk about credit points. 4 units is 50 credit points. 8 units is 100 credit points, so that's the 50 plus the 50, and Masters is 150 credit points in total, so 50, 50, 50, as you can see.
Comes over to me now. I quite like this slide because we're really proud of the development and that we've put into our units. So I know online study can be very isolating. We've all done online study. It's really convenient and flexible, which is wonderful. But the negative is that it can be really isolating. So we have webinars that you can, regular webinars weekly in a lot of units, sometimes more often, sometimes a little bit less. And you can go in there at any, you can join the webinar, but they're always recorded. So that means if you're working and it's at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you can come home and watch that in your own time. And also, if you're one of those people who likes to watch things, listen to things a few times, you can watch them as many times as you like. So we do try to have them at least one a week, and we try and do them at a time that's most convenient for most people. But again, it's recorded anyway. We have moved away from just having lots of Word documents and text for you to read, and we have really wonderful interactive learning activities within our Milo sites. We have these great ways of interacting with fellow students in Padlets and discussion board activities. And we also have formative quizzes and other self-directed type learning. We have discussion boards where you can always ask questions of your tutor or your lecturer. They may not be able to answer it straight away, but they always answer within 24 hours during weekdays. Assessments is something that we've really worked on in the last 18 months. So we've moved away. It used to be you do quizzes, then you do case studies and a 2,000-word essay. And from a graduate certificate level, my thoughts are, look, I really don't mind if you can't write an essay beautifully using every perfect academic terminology, but I do care that you have a really high-level knowledge related to your specialisation. So we've moved away from lots of written assessments just at the graduate certificate level and some at the graduate diploma. We're moving towards things like you developing your portfolio as part of a major part of your assessment. We know that a lot of people do postgraduate study so that they can gain, high-level employment, and when you apply for promotion, you usually have to provide a portfolio. So we're helping you by making that a major piece of assessment so that you can actually extract that and take it as part of your promotion. We have quite a few oral interactive assessments as well, because we know that we want graduates who can communicate to their peers, to medical staff, to other interprofessional members of the team, and to patients and their relatives. So we do have a number of assessments that are presentations or interactive oral assessments. There are certainly written assessments because it is important for you to be able to write, but for us it's more about the content. One thing I do want to say is that we are also moving as a school to being much more supportive when it comes to extensions. We're aware about how challenging it is to balance study with work and personal lives. So in general, we tend to give, if you need it, we can give up to 3 days without any supporting evidence, because I don't think it takes $30 to pay a doctor to tell you that you're stressed because you're trying to study and juggle your lives. We're also understanding that you might have to do an extra shift, a double shift, and you feel pressured into doing that, but you want to get your assessment done. So we're much better. You don't have to give your firstborn child for a 24-hour extension these days with the School of Nursing. And this is just giving you an idea of the different specialisations that are available. We have the widest, with the University of Tasmania. People think that this tiny little university, but we've actually got the largest postgraduate suite of nursing specialisations in Australia, and they range from acute care, gerontology, neonatal, oncology, quality and safety. The list goes on, and we are actually looking at an additional one next year, and I won't go into it now because you won't be able to choose it next semester, but we are even building on these now. Just while we're looking at this, you can see that the colours in bold. You need to be working at least 2 days a week in those specialisations. So just keep in mind also that anaesthetic and recovery and peri-op nursing, you need to be working in that area 2 days a week. So if you want to enrol in perioperative nursing, you have to be scrub scout at least 2 days a week. And if you want to enrol in anaesthetic and recovery, you have to be working in anaesthetic or PACU/recovery 2 days a week. That's really important because the assessment tasks and the content are targeted to those very important specialisations. Critical care, and people often get this one confused as well, because in a lot of universities, critical care covers emergency, cardiac, intensive care, and so on. Critical care for us is intensive care nursing. So you have to be working in intensive care 2 days a week in order to complete that course. And we really encourage you, if possible, to be in there at least 6 months so you can, so you've got a baseline knowledge before you start extending that. Acute care, we want you to be working in the acute care field 2 days a week, and the same with neonatal, renal, and oncology is another one that we haven't highlighted there, but that's just been redeveloped by our amazing stream lead, Carly Shaw, and it's really important for you to be working in some area of oncology. It doesn't matter whether it, what specific area, but you need to be caring for oncology patients. There is a little highlight there that we've capped enrolments in 2025 in some of those units that are starred. They've been so popular that we've had too many numbers, so we had to cap them. And some of these are also only semester 1 enrolments. Child and family health nursing, this applies to Tasmania and New South Wales. If this is something that you're interested in, I absolutely encourage you to apply for the child and family health nursing. You will get a job in a second. I guess it's the same with all nursing, isn't it? But such a wonderful specialisation. One of the bonuses is that the hours are great. There's no night shift. And there is a balance of clinical practice and online learning. There's only, for the graduate certificate, you can only enrol in semester 1, but if you wanted to do this by diploma, you could start with some diploma units in semester 2 this year and move on to the graduate certificate units. Just keep in mind, if you are already working in this area, you don't have to do the additional professional experience placement hours, but if you're not, we assist you in New South Wales and Tasmania to do your 15 days of professional experience placement in a child and family health area in semester 1 and in semester 2.
Okay, so you've done your graduate certificate, or you're thinking about, should I do a graduate certificate or graduate diploma? And you're asking, well, why would I go on and do a graduate diploma? I've done my graduate certificate. And I think it's a valid question, but I'm going to answer it for you. I think when you've done a graduate certificate in a specialty, so say, for example, you've done your graduate certificate in paediatrics, and so that's really reinforcing and cementing your specialty knowledge, and so you're a leader within that specialty. I think what the graduate diploma allows you to do is to really build on that leadership, but also potentially to develop other skills that contribute to you being a nursing leader. So you can build on your specialty. So as you're studying subjects through the graduate diploma, a lot of the assessment tasks give you a choice of being able to direct the focus to your particular specialty. So you might be studying the core unit, which is encouraging you to use evidence in practice and develop skills in that area. But the assessment task that you do has a focus on paediatrics because that's your specialty area. So you can continue, even though you are doing core units and studying with everybody, you can continue to have that focus on your specialty area, but you're building on that. You also can expand your career options. So it may be that, I'll stick with the paediatrics, may be that you're working in paediatrics, but you're wondering whether or not you might like to become a clinical nurse educator, or you might be thinking that you're interested in moving into a quality and safety area. And so you can actually do a unit, you can take a unit as one of the elective units in the graduate diploma, which gives you some insight into that change and gives you a feel, a taster, I guess, for a different career pathway. And that might encourage you to think that, yes, this is the way you go, or you could think, well, that was interesting, but actually it's not for me. So you get that opportunity to get a sense without making, big career decisions. And importantly, if you are wanting to go on and do your master's, which increasing number of nurses are these days, then you must have a graduate diploma to be able to go on and study a Master of Clinical Nursing.
So the Master of Clinical Nursing, be very exciting to see you all work your way up. I'd love to see you there. As Annette and Diane have said, things build along as we go along. Probably at the master level, we do look a little bit more at your writing, simply because this is where you've learnt all these fantastic skills, your craft of nursing in the certificate and the diploma level, and now you're going to have the opportunity to pass that on to others. It gives you the opportunity to possibly look at senior positions. So the type of things that we look at in both subjects are always related to your clinical work, what you're doing at the time. So we look at clinical governance over quality and safety. So not what you're doing at the bedside. We're looking at, what you will do as a charge nurse when the auditors come in. We're looking at group dynamics. How do you manage meetings, teams, and all those sorts of things? And then you'll look at leadership. What is nursing leadership? What do nursing leaders look like? What type of leader might you like to be, by interviewing two people that you think are a really great leader, not the boss necessarily, but just a leader in your field. And then when you move on to the second subject, you look at evidence in supporting things that you might do at work, like policies and procedures, etc. You look at practice change, but specifically using implementation science, and then you'll write a paper for possible publication. And then, like the lovely Benita, you might like to have that paper published, which is pretty exciting. And interestingly, in the journal that was published, one of the reasons a lot of our nurses have their work published is because the clinical nurses are looking at clinical problems, things that are happening in your area of nursing at the coalface, and other nurses are really interested in reading that sort of thing. So you'd be surprised how your work at this level is really interesting to other clinical nurses. So I suppose the main thing to think about first is that there is a GPA or a credit average to come up to master. So just be well aware of that, just to, keep grinding at those grades earlier on. And we'd very much look forward to seeing you at the master level.
Thanks, Paula.
And I think I come back into the show now. So we have some health partner HEX scholarships, which are fantastic. And if you work for an eligible healthcare provider, we offer generous scholarships to support you with the cost of study, which is great. You can search the A to Z listing on our website. The URL is there. You do need to be eligible for a Commonwealth supported place. Now that would usually be if you are an Australian citizen, but have a look at that just to make sure there aren't any tricks there, but that would be the normal thing. And you must complete a health partner employee declaration when enrolling in your course as well. The two, I'll just run through this quickly. You can see it all on the screen there. The 2025 Commonwealth supported place pricing, course fees for each 50 credit point stage in all specialisations except for quality and safety is $2,312. The total course cost from graduate certificate through to masters is $6,938, which is where these HEX, so all of these is where these HEX scholarships can come in very handy. The quality and safety specialisation fees are $4,656 per 50 credit point stage of study. The total course cost from graduate certificate through to masters for quality and safety is $13,968. Partner scholarships amounts vary, so best to have a look at that URL, which we had up there before.
So Dougal,
yes.
Just saying, so when we look at the 50-point credit stage, we're saying for an entire graduate certificate, which is 4 units, it would cost $2,312. Yes,
Great.
except for quality and safety.
Yep.
Right.
Thanks, Annette.
Thank you.
So applying online, it's pretty easy. If you actually go to the front page of the UTAS website, there is actually an apply button at the top right. It's the same for everyone, so you can just go in there. So you can apply for online, and you'll need to provide some information. I have got a slide about that coming up next. When you receive an offer, we'll send you an offer to study with us. And you can accept this offer via our application portal, which is the same place where you applied. And your login details, you'll actually receive in an email. It's important that you actually know where that email is. It makes it a lot easier to actually log into the application portal with that. It gets a bit difficult if you can't find that email. And then you can enroll in your units from there. That can look a bit complicated to start with, and we can certainly help you with that. And I'll give you a contact at the end of this session to help you with that. It kind of does make sense. You can give it a go yourself if you feel confident, but we're certainly used to helping out people with those enrolments. So don't hesitate to ask for help with that if you need it. There is some information, as I said before, that you will need to provide. Now, as this is postgraduate, you won't need to worry so much about the secondary studies and the preparatory courses side. However, your tertiary studies is required. We do need this information. So the name of the qualification, the institution that awarded it, and the year that it was awarded. And you will have an APRA registration number at this point, I understand. So you should provide that there. If you were registered under a different name, like a maiden name, it's really helpful if you add that into the personal details tab. It just helps us find, identify where you're at. And there's a box you can tick for other names as well. If you don't have all these details on the spot, the admissions team will follow up with you, but it's going to be a lot easier if you can get it in, but don't stress too much if you don't have that right on you at the time. Under the course preference tab, each specialisation is listed there individually, and you can list up to 5 preferences, which is kind of the standard with any application. When you get your offer, you log back into this portal and follow the prompts to accept. And then you'll be emailed info on how to enroll. But as I said, if you do struggle with that enrollment process, just contact us and we can certainly help you out with that.
Thanks, Dougal. One thing just to mention at this point is that you need to be working for at least 6 months full-time or 12 months part-time post you getting your registration before you can enrol in postgraduate study. And we're not doing that in a punitive way. We just recognise the fact that it's a massive cognitive load when you know, in your first year or definitely the first 6 months of practice, you don't need postgraduate study on top of that. So we want you to get some foundation, you know, really apply your postgrad, your undergraduate before you start building on that.
Thanks for that clarification, Anna. I actually wasn't aware of that either. That's great. Thank you very much. Just some key dates. For semester 2, 18th of July is when the semester 2 applications will close. So you need to get in by then into that application portal. Semester 2 commences on the 21st of July. You can still enroll up to the 28th, but I wouldn't. You probably want to have everything enrolled if you can. The 19th of August is the semester 2 census date. So if for some reason you need to pull out of the course, all of a sudden you realise this is not for you or whatever, something happens, as long as you withdraw before that date, you won't be, there won't be any further complications. You won't be charged for that one. Semester 2 ends on the 26th of October. Is that all?
Sorry.
Everything in it? Sorry?
Yeah, I was just going to say that sometimes students enrol in 2 units and they think, oh, this is going to be great. And then they find, oh, actually, this is a little bit too much to juggle. You can always withdraw from one of those units before census and it's like you didn't enrol. So there's no penalty, no financial penalty, and there's no academic penalty. But that big date of 19th of August, I'd have a big sticky label sitting up there, because after that, you will get those penalties even if you don't continue. And Paula, you have your hand up very politely.
Yes. I was just going to say, as Dougal so rightly said, that the closing date is the 18th of July. But if I'm not mistaken, admissions are open now, are they, Dougal?
That actually, I'm not sure about that.
I think, well, I know my,
they
I know
they
my,
would be. Yes, they are.
yes,
Yep.
Yeah.
I know my master students from one subject are moving into the second. So
Yep.
what I would
Yep.
say to you all is, my advice would be, even though that's the last date, get in as soon as you possibly can. The reason for that is the unit outline, which will tell you about the unit, opens 2 weeks before. There's an orientation week the week before, and then semester starts. So if you could be in a lot earlier, and coming in late can really stress students out when they first start, because you feel like you're behind from day one. It's like arriving to work late. You know what it's like, your whole day goes out of whack. So I think Annette and Darnish would also agree that you would be much happier in your studies if you got in as early as you possibly can.
And as we do need to just, because it is a postgraduate course and it is determinant on the other qualifications that you have, the earlier you can do it, just the more time we've got to just make sure all that stuff's in line. Now, does anyone have any questions? There's the question and answer button on your browser somewhere if you do have any questions. We don't have any at the moment, which is fine. If there aren't any, that just means that these guys did a fantastic job. Well, we all did, of presenting the webinar. But if you do want to ask any questions, now is the time.
I might, while people are just thinking about the questions, I'm not sure that we actually mentioned that students do study part-time when they're studying postgraduate nursing. So it's up to 2 units per semester, and that enables you to balance life and work and study. So yeah, what Annette was saying about, you might enrol in 2 units and then drop down to 1. So you do have a number of years to do. So 3 years for a graduate certificate, 5 years for a graduate diploma to actually complete the course. So that you can do it 1 semester at a time if that works better for your life, or 2 units per semester.
Another thing. I know after the last semester when we did this, I had quite a few people contact me because they weren't sure about which specialisation they should enrol in, and I'm very happy to take phone calls or emails if you're unsure.
Just echoing what Annette said too about waiting, that 6 or 12 months after you've graduated. It is important too, because you need to do a little bit of nursing to really decide what specialty is going to be your thing. You don't want to get into something and suddenly realise you'd like to flip over to something else. So it's nice to do that grad year or 6 months, and where you actually have a bit of rotation and you can see a few different areas and pick where you might like to go.
Thank you so much. We don't have any further questions, so obviously you did a fantastic job of answering answering all the questions before they were even asked. Oh, hang on, we do have a question now from Priya. I did my post-bachelor of nursing in Australia 18 years ago. Do I get any credit points from that course?
Sorry, what was the course that person did? I did my Bachelor of Nursing in Australia. So your Bachelor of Nursing will allow you to enrol in postgraduate study, because the Bachelor of Nursing is the undergraduate study. So
even that's 18, sorry, so 18 years is still okay?
Yes,
There's no time limit or anything?
I didn't do any postgraduate study. It was a long time after I did my undergraduate before I started postgraduate study. You're working, yeah, absolutely. Your Bachelor of Nursing is what enables you to enrol in postgraduate study, and yeah.
Yeah, it is a bit different if you want to get credit for previous postgraduate study. So if you do a graduate certificate and then you want to go on and do a graduate diploma, we do ask, there is an expectation that you are doing that study not 20 years later. So 5 years, Anish, I think, yeah, or up,
Yeah.
could be up to 10, but we would look at your currency of practice. So, for example, if you had done a graduate certificate in critical care and had been working in an intensive care unit after that, and then decided, 7 years later that you were going to go on and do your graduate diploma, then that would be fine. But because you're staying within that specialty area.
So you're still applying that knowledge. But if you did your graduate certificate in critical care and hadn't worked in that area for, 10 years, it'd be unlikely that you would get credit for that.
Yeah.
And it looks like, yeah,
Sorry.
Dougal.
So Pri, you've just asked where you would, how you would apply. I've just put that link in the questions and answers for you. Just if you just go there, that should have all the answers and the application process for you.
Are people able to ask questions verbally, or is everybody muted?
No, it has to be typed.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think one of the great things about if you're coming in as an experienced nurse to the course is all that you bring to offer to your fellow students. So we have people studying at all different stages in their nursing career, and that's another great thing that you're learning from your peers. And so you'll have some people who are relatively new to nursing and others who have been 18 years since their Bachelor of Nursing. And so learning from each other is great.
And I think too, UTAS has been doing online for a very long time. However, one thing that the pandemic taught most of us is we can do a lot of things online that we didn't think we could before. And Annette and Dinah will agree with me. You should see our students at graduation. They may not have never met face to face, but it is like old home week. And oh my God, they're hugging. They've worked in groups together for years. They feel like they know each other. Just quietly, some people have got other people's jobs, all sorts of things have happened along the way, and the camaraderie is there. So it's really quite lovely.
Now, it looks like that's all the questions answered, which is great. Now, you will receive an email after this as well, which I hope will have our contact details on it. So if you do have any further questions for the future students team, but it is just future.students@utas.edu.au, but you should get those in the email. So thank you so much for coming. Thank you to all the wonderfully knowledgeable presenters. That was fantastic. And I hope you have a wonderful evening. And you, as I say, you will receive an email about this. This has been recorded. So if you did want to rewatch it, you can on our webinar page on the UTAS website. That'll take a couple of days to get up, but that'll be there for you. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great night.
Thanks, Dougal, for asking us.
Thank you. Thank you for being available.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye,
and
everyone.
have a
Lovely
great
to
night.
meet you.